Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, sometime last year or year before, we were told, the public of St. Lucia was told, that work would start on the Millennium Highway the next day, and traffic management would have to be put into effect. That was a couple months ago, but as usual, as most promises of this government, that hasn't happened. Prime Minister made a point that the work would have started, I think he said the next day or the day after on the Millennium Highway. But we knew at that time that that could not happen, and it did not happen. Flashing mirrors, Mr. Speaker, again. Mr. Speaker, if my memory serves me right, this Millennium Highway project had its genesis in July 2015 with a proposal to OFID. OFID is the OPEC Fund for International Development. In 2015, July 2015, a proposal was prepared for OFID to deal with the issues of the Millennium Highway. And in that proposal, Mr. Speaker, there was the project would have been as follows: repair or resurfacing of the existing highway, an extension to the Millennium Highway, and a cul-de-sac roundabout. 6.76 kilometers of work, Mr. Speaker. And the project proposal at the time, the project would have cost some 34.1 million EC dollars. That was in July 2015. Mr. Speaker, between April the 14th and April the 21st, 2016, an appraisal mission visited St. Lucia from OFID. OFID is the OPEC Fund for International Development. And Mr. Speaker, the appraisal was presented to the personnel from OFID. They walked the highway. They had discussions. It was a 7-day mission. They had discussions with the ministry. And the next month, in May, financial arrangements were complete for the resurfacing and the work on the Millennium Highway. And this government, as per usual, cancelled it. They cancelled the loan from OFID. They cancelled it. Same with the Grocery Highway, because to their mind, 4 years was 40 years, and they would backload all the projects at the end, and as elections are near, they would come forward. Mr. Speaker, the wild talk about roads, roads, roads. One would believe that this government is the only government interested in roads in the country. Mr. Speaker, we knew very well that there were issues relating to roads in Grosile, because Grosile is a new development. Grosile has a number of areas that were just developed, and people went to live there, and many times the people who sold the land did not put the necessary infrastructure, and the government had to put infrastructure. We know that Grosile has an issue as far as roads are concerned. But if you hear this government speak, you would believe that there was never any work done on roads in St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. That's what they want to make people believe, that there was never any work done. Mr. Speaker, this government wants to give the impression that they are the roads government. Mr. Speaker, when the time comes, we will detail the work that was done on roads in this country between 2012 and 2016. We will outline it and we will detail it, Mr. Speaker. Because these flashing mirrors of that government, pretending that they are a roads government and they are the one who build roads, Mr. Speaker. Because elections are near, there's a mad rush for roads. Mr. Speaker, we repaired or built 23 bridges. The government of the Labour Party repaired or rebuilt 23 bridges, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you may recall the state of the roads in Castries in 2012. Castries on Bridge Street, the roads in Soufrière, the roads in Vieux-Fort. We redid all these roads, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we did roads in Choiseul. I'm going to outline it at some point. We redid the roads in Soufrière town, in Vieux-Fort town, Mr. Speaker. And that is only for between 2012 and 2016. We're not speaking about 1997 coming down. How we rebuilt all the roads in Kareli, the roads in the north by Beauséjour, all these roads. So this government, this government, Mr. Speaker, believes, pretends they are the government of roads, Mr. Speaker. But we did that, and we did not have $1.50 on $1.50 taxes on gasoline. We did all these roads. But the time will come, Mr. Speaker, when we will outline to the public of St. Lucia the work that we did with roads in this country. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to get back to this OFID loan and this Millennium Highway, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister comes and says the Minister of Finance considers it necessary. Considers necessary. I consider it necessary, the Minister of Finance. But he doesn't say the cost of the project. How much will the entire project cost? He says majority of money will come from the loan from DFID. Majority of money. This is not good enough, Mr. Speaker. I have said on several occasions, and I hope that it is clear this morning, this money does not belong to the Minister of Finance. It belongs to the people of St. Lucia. And you can't come in here and talk about money and say majority of money. There is no majority of money. It's dollars and cents. How much it costs? You have to count to the people. It's not your money. It don't belong to you. It belongs to the people of the country. You have to tell us how much, what the project costs. We understand what the taxpayers of St. Lucia are called to pay from the CDB is 8 million. But how much does the project cost? We need to know the total cost of the project, Mr. Speaker. Majority of money, and the minister considers it necessary. It's not good enough. We need details, Mr. Speaker. This idea of this top-down situation, I say this, you must do it. My police. That must stop, Mr. Speaker. We can't get in a situation where you are, as if you have a set of people that you just telling what to do, lost their right to speak. That must stop, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, let us look at the situation regarding that Millennium Highway, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister says that there's going to be a tender, and I'm very happy. And I know the only reason why that's happening, because the CDB, they've mandated that there must be a tender, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, under the FIDIC rules of contract, there is also a situation where there is an evaluation of these tenders. The tenders can be repaired. The tenders board opens the tenders, and these are evaluated by a board, an evaluation board. That evaluation board, Mr. Speaker, this time, that board, I understand, the composition of that board was prescribed by the ministry. That board, the members of that board were prescribed by the ministry, Mr. Speaker. And I'd like to find out from the government who are the members, not in terms of names, who are the members, who are the people represented on that evaluation board. Because that evaluation board, is extremely important. We want to find out who is there, because it's that evaluation board that will make a recommendation to the tenders board for choosing the contractor. That's where the action is. That's where the action is. Who are the members of the evaluation board? Who is represented there? And whether we are clear that the members of the evaluation board is something that we normally do all the time, or whether there were any changes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it will be not right if I said that the Millennium Highway does not need to be reconstructed. As I said, it was a project that we thought of in 2015. So I have no issues with that, Mr. Speaker. But I still have issues, Mr. Speaker, when, Mr. Speaker, when contractors are being paid. Contractors are being paid. But I'd like to find out whether the public assistance for the poor people of this country has been paid. Just a question, whether the public assistance for the people of this country have been paid, Mr. Speaker. And whereas ministers of government can chastise public servants in public because they've not paid contractors. Ministers of this government can chastise public servants because they have not paid contractors. I really find out, I'm not saying they have not been paid, I'd like to find out whether the people on public assistance have been paid, Mr. Speaker. I want to ask this question. Mr. Speaker, whether the people on public assistance have been paid or whether the payment have been late and whether the last time they've been paid. Just a question I'm asking. Mr. Speaker, this government pretends that the only way that they can get economic activity is by road construction. They pretend. We have to ask ourselves, Mr. Speaker, there are many ways in which a government can initiate employment and economic activity, not only by construction of major roads where you use tractors and capital equipment and piling on an airport. There are many ways that you can generate economic activity, Mr. Speaker, in the country. There are many ways. The issue of this government is the issue of priorities, because they have been caught with their pants down. They believed that they would have been in power for 40 years. They believed that. So what they did, instead of following the plans that were there, the project, there can be no major difference between the project proposal in July 2015 and now. Instead of looking at that project proposal and developing it and talking to OFID, Mr. Speaker, and talking to the QAT government, this government cancelled it. They cancelled it. Arrogant. I'm the boss. My government. My police. Cancel it, Mr. Speaker. They cancel it. And right now, at the end, COVID was a surprise to them. Because you see, as a friend of mine always say, in the best plans of men and mice, what they planned was to, projects. One of them said, this is the year of execution, projects. But they did not know that there was a higher power. And the higher power saw the evil. And the higher power, Mr. Speaker. So all the plans for execution. So this year would have been a year for execution. All things happen, projects. They were boasting, Mr. Speaker. They did not. And COVID caught them with their pants down. So now there's a mad rush. Projects, Mr. Speaker. And I predicted that there would have been so much stirring of the soil in St. Lucia that the Prime Minister's back would hurt him. And he started turning the soil, housing in shock estate, this, that. Very soon you'll hear road in this and that. You'll hear pier. You'll hear all kinds of things, Mr. Speaker, because they cannot stop time. And that's the problem now. They're in a mad haste because they realize that next week is June the 6th and they can do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. They can be my police, civil servants, stop it. They must. By September next year, they must go to the polls. They must. And they can do nothing about it. They can victimize, they can get vexed, they can be arrogant, they can stop demonstrations, they can stop gatherings, they can do whatever they want. They cannot stop September next year for the date for general elections, when the people of this country will take a decision on what they have done to them for the last 4 years, Mr. Speaker. And if they come before that, be ready. So, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I want to tell this government that whereas the Millennium Highway needs the work done, they have been too late. That could have happened 3 years ago. Mr. Speaker. But in the haste and the desire to be vindictive and to kill any perceived legacy of this government, they have allowed the people of St. Lucia to suffer for 4 years with that highway instead of continuing the plans that this government started. And I defy them, Mr. Speaker, I defy them to tell me that there was not a project proposal prepared by some of the same staff in the Ministry of Infrastructure now for the Millennium Highway. I defy them, Mr. Speaker. So they can use flashing mirrors and bluff and and so all kind of things. You cannot tell me that there was not a project proposal prepared in 2015 and there was not a president mission between April 14th and 21st, 2016 for that same Millennium Highway. But in your zeal and your quest to front load it in the last month, the year of execution, you've found yourself with your pants down, and now you blame everybody. You blame public servants, you blame the Labour Party, you blame everybody you can, because your best plans have not worked because of the situation, the unfortunate situation of COVID, Mr. Speaker. So you want to blame civil servants, you want to blame the Labour Party, blame the National Trust, blame everybody. All the promises the Prime Minister made, he's blaming everybody now for them. And now the big blame is going to be COVID. That's where the blame. That is what is going to be the blame. So you want to create all kinds of scenarios that is COVID that cause the situation where it is, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we believe that this government has found itself in its own trap because of its own policies, because of its vindictive nature, because of the nature of trying to stop everything that the Labour Party left. That is why they found themselves in this position. So whereas the Millennium Highway needs to be rehabilitated, it's a little too late because of the actions of this government, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.